Welcome back to NeuroPower Talks, where brain science meets emotional truth and transformation begins at the root. Today's episode may shake something deep inside you, because we're not talking about romance, fairy tales, or fleeting feelings. We're talking about love, real love, and why most people can't hold on to it, not because of fate, timing, or luck, but because their nervous system was never wired to feel safe with it. You've been told love lives in your heart. But the truth, love lives in your nervous system. It lives in your capacity to feel safe, to feel seen, to regulate emotion when the storm hits. It lives in how your brain responds to intimacy, to vulnerability, to closeness. And if your system was trained to equate love with pain, chaos, or abandonment, then even the right love will feel like a threat, and you'll push it away before you ever get a chance to heal with it. This isn't a mindset problem. It's not a personality flaw. It's a neurological pattern built through years of emotional wiring, survival adaptations, and protective loops that once saved you but now keep love just out of reach. In today's episode, I'll show you the neuroscience behind why love slips through your fingers and how to rewire the very circuits that determine whether you sabotage connection or finally feel safe enough to receive it. Because once you heal your nervous system, love stops feeling like war and starts feeling like home. This is not therapy. This is not a quick fix. This is deep neural reprogramming. This is NeuroPower Talks. Let's begin. You think you're choosing love. You think you're making a conscious decision, opening your heart and following your instincts, your feelings, your desires. But what if I told you with absolute certainty that you're not choosing love with your mind, you're responding to it with your nervous system? That it isn't conscious choice, it's pattern recognition. It's history repeating itself at the level of breath, pulse, and memory that lives beneath your awareness. Because love doesn't begin in the heart, it begins in the wiring. It begins in the way your nervous system learned what love feels like. Long before you ever fell in love with anyone. You're not falling in love, you're falling into something familiar, that magnetic pull you feel, that rush of excitement, of electricity, of need. It's not always love. It's your nervous system activating old survival templates. It's your body whispering, I know this. And if what it knows is inconsistency, emotional starvation, abandonment dressed up as affection, or approval earned through self-betrayal, then that's exactly what it will be drawn to. Not because it's good for you, not because it's safe, but because it's known. And your nervous system, your beautiful, protective, loyal nervous system, will always prioritize what's known over what's good. You learned love through nervous system imprinting. That means if love was unstable when you were growing up, you might now find peace to be suspicious. If love was conditional, you might feel an unconscious urge to perform, to please, to bend yourself into the version of you that's more lovable. If love was fused with fear, silence, walking on eggshells, or sudden withdrawal, then your brain doesn't just associate those things with danger. It wires them in as the very ingredients of affection. And when you meet someone new, when the energy is high and your brain lights up with dopamine and fantasy and longing, your nervous system isn't asking, is this person healthy for me? It's asking, does this feel like home? And for too many of us, home wasn't calm. Home wasn't safe. Home was conditional, chaotic, inconsistent, or absent altogether. So when you feel that intensity, when you feel that fire, when you feel your body lock into someone like you've known them your whole life, maybe you have. Maybe they remind your nervous system of the first person it ever loved and lost. The first person it ever had to chase. The first person it had to earn. That's not love. That's repetition. And this is where it gets dangerous. Because the nervous system doesn't just react, it repeats. It recreates the emotional conditions of the past in the present moment, so it can finally get a different ending. That's why you keep falling for the same person in different bodies. That's why it feels like the universe is playing a cruel trick on you. But the universe isn't doing anything to you. Your body is just looping a trauma pattern, desperately hoping that this time someone will stay, someone will choose you, someone will give you the love you were wired to crave but never receive. This is the prison of the unconscious nervous system, and the more dysregulated your past, the more intensity will feel like intimacy, that breathless feeling when they pull away. That's your sympathetic nervous system hijacking you, spiking adrenaline, triggering the fight or flight response. You don't miss them. You miss the relief their presence gives you from the withdrawal they created. You don't love them. You're addicted to the regulation your body temporarily feels when they re-engage. That's not chemistry, that's trauma reenactment. And when we tell people to follow their heart, we rarely acknowledge that the heart is responding to signals sent by the brain and the body's memory of love. The heart is echoing patterns wired into the nervous system decades ago. It beats faster for what's familiar, not always what's safe. You feel butterflies. That could be anxiety. You feel obsessed. That might be nervous system dysregulation. You feel euphoric when they're near and empty when they're gone. That could be your attachment system crying out for healing, not romance. But we romanticize these feelings. We build entire cultures around the high of dysregulated love. Around love that burns, love that consumes, love that makes us lose ourselves in the name of connection. And in doing so, we glorify nervous system distress as passion. We teach people to mistrust calm love. We whisper to ourselves, if it doesn't hurt, it must not be real. That lie is why we suffer. You can be wildly attracted to someone who is entirely wrong for you, and your nervous system will thank you for it. Because your body isn't measuring emotional safety. It's scanning for emotional familiarity, and the more emotionally intelligent you become, the more you have to pause and ask, does this feel good or does this feel familiar? Do I feel seen, or do I feel the same anxious ache I always feel when I'm close to someone? Am I in love, or am I triggered and mistaking it for desire? This is the truth most people will never tell you, because it dismantles the fantasy. It forces you to take responsibility not just for your choices, but for your nervous system's programming. It requires you to go deep, to sit with your patterns, to look back on your childhood with open eyes and a brave heart and ask, what did I learn about love when I was too young to protect myself? What messages did I internalize when I was too small to understand them? Where did my nervous system equate love with pain? And the answers will sting. You'll realize that the first person who taught you love may have also taught you neglect, that they may have taught you that love is earned, not given, that your worth is dependent on performance, that connection is always at risk of being taken away. And then you realize you've been recreating that dynamic your entire adult life, not because you want to suffer, but because your nervous system never knew anything else. But here's the breakthrough. Once you become aware of the pattern, you're no longer a prisoner of it. Awareness is the beginning of liberation. When you understand that you're not broken, that your body is simply protecting you in the only way it knows, you stop blaming yourself for your choices. You stop shaming yourself for staying too long, for loving too hard, for choosing the same pain over and over again. And you start to do the real work, not of finding love, but of becoming someone whose nervous system can receive love that is soft, stable, and true. You begin to regulate, to breathe through the triggers, to sit in stillness without needing the high of chaos, to say no to the people who activate your wounds and yes to those who feel too calm to be true. You learn that the slow, safe love you once labeled boring is actually your body coming home to itself, that the person who doesn't ignite your nervous system might be the one who finally helps heal it. And it's hard. It's brutally hard because your nervous system will resist. It will miss the rush. It will crave the familiar. It will scream, this isn't love. But that's only because it doesn't yet recognize love. It recognizes survival. And now you're choosing something else. You're choosing peace. You're choosing regulation. You're choosing to rewire what love means, not through logic, but through repetition, through presence, through conscious embodiment of new emotional realities. You're teaching your body that love doesn't have to hurt, that you don't have to chase. That being chosen isn't a reward, it's a right. That being safe is not a downgrade, it's a revolution. And eventually, your nervous system adjusts. The butterflies quiet down, the obsession fades, the highs and lows give way to steady ground. And one day, you find yourself next to someone who doesn't take your breath away. They help you breathe more deeply. Someone who doesn't spark fireworks, they calm the storm. Someone who doesn't make you feel like you're fighting to matter, they look at you and you feel like you always have. That is love, real love. And the only way to find it is to rewire the system inside you that's been chasing everything but it. Because love doesn't live in your heart, it lives in your nervous system. You've been told that love is something you find, something you fall into, that it's a magical moment, a spark, a coincidence of timing and chemistry. But what if I told you that real love doesn't begin out there? It begins in here, in your nervous system, in your ability to feel safe, regulated, and grounded within your own body. Because the truth is, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, love will always feel like a threat. You will unconsciously sabotage it. You will resist it. Or worse, you will confuse chaos for connection and spend your life chasing storms, calling them soulmates. We're not talking about just dating preferences. We're talking about biology, about brain circuits and stress hormones, about years of emotional conditioning that trained your body to equate intensity with intimacy and instability with desire. You think you're just attracted to a certain type, but what's really happening is your nervous system is chasing what it knows how to survive, not what helps you thrive. That's why real love is not adrenaline. It's not that high you get when someone validates you and the crash when they don't. It's not the addictive push-pull dynamic that keeps you in a loop of craving and withdrawal. That's your nervous system trapped in dysregulation, confusing a lack of safety with passion. Real love begins when your nervous system feels safe. And I mean truly safe, not bored, not underwhelmed, but calm, present, unarmored. When your breath isn't shallow, when your shoulders aren't clenched, when your body isn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. When the love you're receiving doesn't ignite your survival instincts but softens them. When you stop performing for affection and simply receive it. But let's be honest, most people aren't ready for that kind of love, because most people's nervous systems have been wired for war, for abandonment, for danger, for silence and screaming and inconsistent love that hurts more than it heals. So when they finally meet someone who offers peace, who shows up with steady hands and regulated presence, they recoil. They think, this is too easy. They confuse calm with a lack of chemistry because their nervous system isn't used to ease. It's used to tension. And if you're not aware of that, you will reject the very love you've been praying for. So let me say this clearly. You will never feel safe in love until your body feels safe with itself. Your nervous system is your emotional filter. It determines what you perceive as love, what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you reject. If you want a healthy relationship, the work doesn't start with finding the right person. It starts with becoming the version of yourself who can receive love without bracing for pain, without expecting to be betrayed, without mistaking unpredictability for passion. This means learning to regulate your nervous system daily, not once, not just when things go wrong, but as a lifestyle, as a commitment to becoming the version of you who doesn't need chaos to feel alive. Who doesn't need to be triggered to feel connected? Who knows that love can be soft, stable, slow, and still be deeply, powerfully real? And it's not glamorous work, it's breath work when you want to lash out. It's grounding exercises when you want to run. It's sitting in stillness when you're dying for a distraction. It's choosing the relationship that feels warm and steady over the one that leaves you anxious and questioning. It's looking at your patterns, your real ones, and having the courage to say, this ends with me. Because yes, you can heal. Your nervous system can learn new safety cues. Neuroplasticity is real. You can literally rewire the way your brain and body respond to love. But it takes effort. It takes honesty. It takes a willingness to break your own cycle and stop calling it destiny. This, what they don't teach us. That love isn't just about compatibility or chemistry. It's about capacity. Can your nervous system handle being loved without shutting down, without running, without sabotaging? This is why people come to the NeuroPower Talks channel, because here we tell the truth. The truth about the brain, the body, and the patterns that keep us locked in emotional loops that feel like fate, but are actually just unhealed trauma. We go deep, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary if you ever want to experience real, healthy love. And here's what I want you to hear in every cell of your body. You are not unlovable. You are not broken. If love feels hard, it's not because you're failing. It's because your nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do, survive. But you're not here to just survive anymore. You're here to rewire, to heal, to evolve, and to choose a love that your body doesn't have to brace itself against. That love exists. But it starts with you learning to breathe through discomfort, with you choosing partners who feel emotionally safe, even if your old patterns scream, this isn't love. With you saying yes to the steady, the calm, the emotionally regulated kind of connection that feels so foreign it must be wrong, when in reality, it's finally right. And when your nervous system learns to trust that calm is safe, when it stops craving the highs and lows and begins to anchor into steadiness, that's when everything changes. That's when love stops being something you chase and becomes something you naturally allow. So if you've ever asked yourself, why do I always fall for the wrong person? Why do I get bored in healthy relationships? Or why does love feel so hard? This is your answer. It's not about them. It's about your nervous system. And the beautiful, life-changing truth is you can change it. You can train your body to feel safe in peace, safe in connection, safe in love. But it starts with you. Today, right now, in this moment, you decide to stop chasing chaos. You decide to start practicing presence. You decide to teach your body that it is safe, loved, held, and finally free. And when that transformation begins, you'll feel it in your breath, in your posture, in the way you no longer mistake unpredictability for love. You'll stop asking love to prove itself through pain, and you'll start receiving it in the most powerful way, calmly, completely, and without apology. That's when you'll know love never lived in your heart. It always lived in your nervous system. And now, finally, it's ready to come home. This is your moment. Choose peace. Choose regulation. Choose the kind of love that helps you breathe deeper, not faster, because your nervous system is listening and it's ready